A'ja Wilson went off, and the Atlanta Dream fan base, or the fans in attendance in Atlanta, chanted MVP for A'ja Wilson.
Who's your MVP? Yeah, Jesus, I forgot about that. The home fans. But you know what? They're all A'ja fans.
A'ja Wilson just reminded the basketball world why she's not just an MVP candidate. She's a force of nature. In the Las Vegas Aces' 81-75 win over the Atlanta Dream, Wilson poured in 34 points, grabbed 9 rebounds, swatted 4 shots, and, here's the kicker, hit not 1 but 2 clutch 3-pointers. This is the same A'ja Wilson who didn't hit a single 3 in her first 3 years in the WNBA. The same A'ja who built her career on dominating the paint, not stretching the floor. And yet, with the game on the line, she stepped up from deep and delivered. Then, to top it all off, she stood in front of reporters afterward and said, "Don't call me Curry." Fans laughed, but the message was clear. She's not trying to be anybody else. She's A'ja Wilson, and she's building her own legacy. If you followed A'ja Wilson's career, you know she wasn't always a long-range shooter. In fact, during her first 3 seasons in the WNBA, she didn't make a single 3-pointer. Her game was built inside the arc, punishing defenders in the post, hitting mid-range jumpers, and owning the paint. But that's what makes her performance against Atlanta so fascinating. Over time, Wilson has expanded her game, adding more versatility to an already unstoppable skill set. This season, she's been willing to step out beyond the arc, not as a gimmick, but as a legitimate weapon when the team needs it. Against the Dream, those 2 threes weren't just random shots. The first one came with less than 3 minutes left in the third quarter, breaking a 48-48 tie and shifting momentum back to Vegas. The second one followed immediately after, sending the message, "You can't just sag off me anymore." For a player who has already built her reputation as one of the most dominant interior forces the league has ever seen, adding a reliable 3-point shot makes her even scarier. It's the kind of evolution that separates great players from legends. Wilson's box score against Atlanta looks like something out of a video game. 34 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 blocks. But beyond the raw numbers, it was the timing of her production that stood out. The Aces needed this win to keep their momentum rolling heading into the playoffs. The Dream pushed hard, keeping things close through 3 quarters, but Wilson was relentless, getting buckets when her team needed them, controlling the glass and protecting the rim on defense. Her 2 3-pointers stole the headlines, but her ability to impact the game in every area is what makes her a legitimate MVP favorite. She scored inside, she scored outside, she rebounded, she blocked shots. She played 35 minutes and never looked tired. And here's the kicker. With this performance, Wilson tied her own personal record of 11 games with 30-plus points in a single season. That mark puts her just 1 shy of Jewel Lloyd's league record of 12. One more big scoring night, and Wilson's name goes down in history once again. When A'ja Wilson walked into her post-game press conference after dropping 34 points and hitting 2 clutch 3-pointers against the Atlanta Dream, the media wanted to talk about one thing, her shooting from deep. And in classic A'ja fashion, she didn't shy away from the spotlight. Instead, she leaned into humor, flashing that big personality that fans love. Her line was simple, but it immediately went viral. "Don't call me Curry." On the surface, it was just a joke. Stephen Curry, after all, is the greatest 3-point shooter in basketball history. He changed the way the game is played, forcing defenses to extend far beyond the arc, and inspiring an entire generation of players to add the 3-ball to their arsenals. Nobody is confusing A'ja Wilson with Steph Curry. She knows that, the reporters knew that, and the fans knew that. But her joke did more than just get a laugh. It revealed a deeper truth about who Wilson is as a player and as a competitor. First, the humor highlighted her confidence. A'ja Wilson has always been secure in her identity. She knows what makes her great. Power, footwork, mid-range touch, rebounding, rim protection. But the fact that she can step out, knock down 2 massive threes in crunch time, and then laugh about it afterward shows that she's not putting pressure on herself to be something she's not. She's not chasing the idea of becoming a stretch 5 just to prove a point to critics. Instead, she's letting her growth come naturally, adding tools to her game while staying true to her foundation. Second, her quip was a reminder that she's not defined by comparisons. Too often in sports, we measure greatness by asking, who does this player remind you of? Or, is she the women's version of insert male superstar? Aja Wilson shut that down with one line. She doesn't want to be called the Curry of the WNBA or the female version of anyone. She wants to be Aja Wilson, a player building a legacy that stands on its own. And finally, the joke showed just how much fun she's having. The best players in the world aren't just dominant, they play with joy. Curry himself is known for his smile, his shimmy, his lighthearted swagger. Wilson tapping into that energy after hitting those threes showed that she's not just dominating games physically, she's controlling them emotionally. She's setting the tone, both on the court and in the culture of the league. So yes, fans laughed when she said, "Don't call me Curry." But in reality, those 4 words said a lot more than people realize. They said, I'm confident, I know who I am, and I'm carving my own lane. And that's exactly what legends do. While Wilson's 2 threes and 34 points stole the headlines, the bigger story might be what it says about the Las Vegas Aces as a whole. Because right now, the defending champions are catching fire. And they're doing it at the perfect time. With their win over the Dream, the Aces became just the 10th team in WNBA history to win at least 12 consecutive games. That streak has propelled them into second place in the league standings and secured their playoff spot with games to spare. But it's not just the win, it's how they're winning. Early in the season, the Aces faced their share of adversity: injuries, roster adjustments, and questions about whether they could sustain their dominance after back-to-back titles. Some doubters wondered if the league had finally caught up. But over the past month, Las Vegas has silenced those doubts with statement victory after statement victory. At the center of it all is Aja Wilson. Against Atlanta, she reminded everyone that she can control a game from start to finish. But it's the balance around her that makes Vegas so deadly. Kelsey Plum's scoring, Jackie Young's versatility, Chelsea Gray's leadership when healthy. This isn't just a star-driven team. It's a championship machine that knows how to peak at the right moment. And let's not overlook the importance of momentum heading into the playoffs. A 12-game win streak isn't just a statistic, it's a psychological weapon. Opponents see the Aces coming and know they're facing a team that hasn't lost in weeks, a team that's confident, connected, and rolling. That intimidation factor matters in a postseason where every possession is magnified. For Wilson personally, this streak also provides the perfect platform for her MVP campaign. She's not just putting up numbers in meaningless games. She's leading her team to wins that solidify their playoff position and remind everyone why the Aces are still the standard in the WNBA. The message is clear: the Aces aren't just contenders. They're still the team to beat. And with Wilson playing her best basketball at exactly the right time, the dream of a three-peat is alive and very real. So let's step back and ask the big question: where does Aja Wilson stand in the 2025 MVP race? Because performances like this one against Atlanta don't just win games, they shape narratives. And in the MVP conversation, narratives matter as much as numbers. Statistically, Wilson is a monster. This season, she's averaging 23.2 points, 10.2 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and 1.6 steals per game. Those are absurd all-around numbers, and they place her firmly in the conversation with the league's other stars like Napheesa Collier and Alyssa Thomas. But here's where Wilson separates herself: dominance plus consistency plus team success. With her 34-point performance, Wilson tied her personal record of 11 games with 30 or more points in a season. That's not just impressive. It puts her one game away from tying Jewell Loyd's league record of 12. If she hits that mark, she'll have another historic achievement to her name, strengthening her MVP case even further. But beyond the stats, MVP voters look at moments. They look at games that define a season, plays that fans will remember years from now. Wilson drilling 2 clutch threes late in a tight game, then joking about Curry afterward. That's an MVP moment. It's not just about production, it's about personality, leadership, and impact on the league. And let's be honest, voters also weigh team success heavily. The Aces are in second place, riding a 12-game win streak and looking every bit like a team ready to win another championship. That matters. MVPs aren't just great players, they're great players who elevate great teams. Of course, the race is still competitive. Collier's two-way dominance and Alyssa Thomas's all-around brilliance make them serious threats. But Wilson has the advantage of narrative momentum. She's the reigning face of the Aces dynasty, she's putting up historic numbers, and she's giving fans iconic moments along the way. In other words, this isn't just another MVP campaign. This is Wilson solidifying her place in history. If she wins, it'll be her 3rd MVP trophy, placing her in the rarest of company. And if she caps it off with another championship, we're not just talking about one of the best players of today. We're talking about one of the greatest to ever step on a WNBA court.